All right, so now we move on to Q&A part 3. This is the last thing I want to end on this note. Bonto Max asked, do you think your novels will be better appreciated by a future generation living under full global tyranny? I think that if that's what's in store for a future generation, then they won't be able to read my books because they'll be censored. I don't know. I hope we're not facing full global tyranny, first of all, regardless of my books. But I do hope that, I do believe in believe in what I've written, believe that it has value, and hope that it will be read for years and years to come. And I say that both for egotistical reasons and also just because I believe in the craft. I believe that what I've written is worthwhile and worth reading, worth checking out. And I see it as my life's calling. Carson Cope, are you familiar with some of the progenitors of the sexual revolution and their disturbed behavior, i.e. Alfred Kinsey and John Money? I know all about that perv Alfred Kinsey. Who's the broad who wrote about him? Jewish lady, but fantastic expose. Jewish woman who became Catholic, and she just exposed what a creep Kinsey was. Yes, I'm aware of him. I don't know John Money at all. Yes, and then maybe I would talk about Kinsey sometime, or some others. I could also talk about Marquis de Sade. What a creepy customer that guy was. I don't know. You're right. It would make interesting fodder for possibly future video discussion. But I can't just decide to write. I can't just decide to, I'm pretty capricious in what I choose to write, to do videos about. I'm much more capricious in my videos than I am in my writing. Diaz says, Andy, if this is too personal, please ignore it. But I'm curious if your conversion to Catholicism has anything to do with your strained relationship with your parents. My apologies again if this is too personal. Have I talked about my parents and my relationship with my parents? I don't recall doing that. I generally don't broach that topic very much. I like to keep the private. Although, at the same time, I am a bit of an exhibitionist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here recording videos on YouTube, and I wouldn't be doing a lot of the things that I do. So it's kind of a tension. It's a push-pull kind of thing. But no, my conversion to Catholicism has nothing to do with my relationship with my parents, strained or otherwise. No, I don't have a problem with you asking that question. I just didn't know. I'm not sure how the strained part was guessed at. Was it just did you read Under the Nile and just assume a lot of it was autobiographical? I'm not sure how, or maybe I've talked about certain things with my parents regarding my parents. But here's what I can say about Catholicism and my parents that might be of interest. When my mom married my dad in the mid 60s, my mom was Lutheran. She'd been raised Lutheran. My dad was Catholic. I think, more culturally Catholic than anything else. But he still retains a certain Catholic identity to this day, even if he's not really observant. But when they married in a Catholic church, and my mom had to say that any offspring they had would be raised Catholic. That was part of the deal. When I was born, my mom said, "You know what? I want Andy to be raised Lutheran." And my dad said, "Yes, dear." So it was, I was supposed to have been Catholic from the beginning. If my parents had kept their word, my mom and my dad had kept their word, I should have been Catholic from the get-go. But I wasn't. I was raised Lutheran, but I would say all of my life I felt a pull towards Catholicism. And part of it had to do with my dad, and he sort of, he seemed to have a liking for Catholic culture. And there was the whole connection with, Italians, the Italian side of my family, the Polish side of my family, which is on my dad's side. And so I sort of thought of, I always liked Catholicism. I liked it aesthetically. I found it appealing. I took a long road to get to it, but I eventually got there. And I believe that it's because I was supposed to have been Catholic from the start. I believe that God grabbed me, as St. Augustine says, "Oh Lord, thou pluckest me out." I believe I was plucked out because I was supposed to have been raised Catholic, and I wasn't. But I came around to it on my own. But not on my own. It was because it's what I was supposed to be. And that's how I got there. So that's what I would say in answer to your question. Not really, it doesn't really have much to do with whether my relationship with my parents is strained or not, or the degree to which it is strained. Armored Ghost, do you think American social and civic life would be healthier if people returned to living with more family members instead of separately or on their own with a spouse? Sort of a return to the traditional model of the sort of "it takes a village." Sorry to bring that up. I don't mean to utter that kind of blasphemy. And what it recalls, but more of the non-Western model, of, or what used to be. It used to be more of a thing in the West, but eventually the nuclear family became the thing in the West, that you would move out on your own, and you would be you and the wife and the kids living in the suburbs or whatever. I don't know. I think it depends on the situation. I think some nuclear families probably are fine. But there are cases, where I think probably the more traditional life, where you don't move away from home, you just have a different room. There's probably good things that go along with that. Although it doesn't appeal to me particularly. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to live with my grandparents forever, or with my parents forever, for that matter. I wanted to get out of the house. But maybe that was because I was infected with the individualist bug of the decadent, degenerate West. Midnight Rider asks, will mainstream news be dead by the end of the decade? I think it's dead. It's dying now. The network news, or news 24-hour news channels. Nobody watches those who's under the age of 70. I say nobody, and that's a little bit of hyperbole, but but basically they have very, very low ratings. So they're on their way out. Mainstream news that would also include, rags like the Washington Post and the New York Times and all the rest of them. What Styx Hexenhammer calls the legacy media, because they get most of their funds from legacy sources as opposed to from subscribers. I don't know whether they'll be totally gone by the end of the decade, but I think they're already pretty irrelevant. Except they still tell a bunch of lies, and they still have clout as far as being what's featured heavily, on places like YouTube and other places, other corporate places. So yeah. I hope they're dead by the end of the decade. I hope they're dead in an hour from now. Their death could not come soon enough for me. Armored Ghost, with the federal government permanently plagued with corruption, evil, incompetence, and asinine ideology, do you see the country reaching societal implosion worse than South Africa? Or would state governments be a bulwark? Well, people talk about how, what's happening in South Africa is soon going to happen. All the black-pilled people say, well, that's soon going to happen. It's soon going to be the case across the West. That's not really true. South Africa was always kind of a grim situation. And I remember I visited there for 2 weeks in 2011. It was a great trip. I learned a lot, met a lot of great people. And I've thought about them lately with the chaos that's been breaking out there now, hoping that they're all okay. But, South Africa things were always a little, things were dodgy in South Africa even before the end of apartheid. In fact, apartheid was set up to be a way of dealing with what was this very difficult, dicey situation. All of these different races or tribes of people living in the same place, occupying the same country, and the idea behind it was, okay, you'll have in the words of the Different Strokes theme song, they'll have theirs, you'll have yours, and I'll have mine, and together we'll be fine. Together they weren't fine, of course. But that was the idea, to make homelands for the Zulus over here and for this tribe over there, and of course the truth was that it was the white South African government that held the true power. And I'm not praising apartheid or saying that it was a good thing, but I think it was established to try to deal with a very dicey situation with this white minority and lots of other tribes of people, including not just Africans but Indians. There's a lot of Portuguese who live settled in South Africa. It's anyway. So I don't know. I do think, as far as the United States goes, I think we need to have secession. I think secession needs to happen eventually, and hopefully it can happen peaceably. I know it sounds like something that that'll never take place. The federal government's too powerful. Well, do you think in 1982 anyone would have said the Soviet Union was going to be dead in less than 10 years? I don't think anybody would have said that in 1982. And look what happened. So, okay, just a few more. Bunny Juno asks, what do you think of Gnosticism? I used to be very tempted by Gnosticism. And, I still understand the appeal of it to a degree, but I'm not down with the whole idea that, what you do, like this entire life doesn't matter, and your body is a thing of no importance. Like, there are Gnostics who just either practice this kind of extreme asceticism, or engaged in regular orgies, because the body was just completely unimportant. I think the body is important. I think the world is important. I think physical matter is real, and it was created by the true God of the universe, not by an evil demiurge. I think that I would have to say also that the Luciferian elite, if we can call them that, are very Gnostic in their perspective. They sort of think that the world is something that is I don't know, like they're the ones who are fit to run the world because they're gods on earth, because they have this secret knowledge that that's the thing. Gnosticism is an elitist creed. I'm not an elitist. I'm not a believer in elitism. Finally, I believe that yes, we have different abilities, and we have different. We're good at different things, and some of us are smarter than others, and some of us are stronger than others, and men and women are different, and different races are different. But I don't believe that only the special few have access to the truth, and that the truth is just this esoteric, ineffable thing. But I get the appeal of Gnosticism, and if someone is a Gnostic and they're willing, but they also see that things are fucked up and they want to fight the same kind of forces that I want to fight, I'm not going to lecture the Gnostic about how he ought to be different. I'm in favor of a big tent. Let's form a big tent of people who are against the evil, crazy psychopaths who rule the world right now. We all need to stick together, regardless of our separate creeds. We need to form a united front. Gnostics with Catholics, with Muslims, with Jews, anybody, or with atheists, people of all faiths or people of no faith. We all, if those of us who understand that the rulers of the world right now are evil psychopaths who mean us nothing but harm, we need to form an alliance, and fight them together. That's my inspiring Independence Day style speech, like Bill Pullman in Independence Day. Let's put aside our petty differences. Oh, okay. Is writing exhausting? Bonto Max asks. No, not really. Writing is fun. It can be. I mean, it's not. It's something that you have to work. If you care about it, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. So you want to. You can't just be careless with it. But no, I would say it's a joy. It's a pleasure. Okay, let's end on this one. Diaz says, Oreo double stuff. Is it racist? Why a special cookie glorifying more white stuff? Why no Oreo double cookie, which would have 4 dark cookies? You know what? It all boils down to the fact that the white race is evil, and we all need to indoctrinate our children with critical race theory. And I think we are of one mind, Diaz, you and me, on that matter. And in a world where white privilege has finally been debunked and kicked to the curb, then there will be no more racist artifacts like Oreo double stuff cookies. That will be a thing of the past. Power. All right. Thanks everybody for your questions. Hope you enjoyed my answers. Talk to y'all soon.